Yes, until Ken is here.
My audible. John Darrow, acting current chairman, city maintenance commission on architect science certification. Calling the November 1st meeting to order. I think I do a roll call.
Mike Gatchie, Commissioner.
First thing we do is have a motion for approval of minutes. First, Dan. Second, Mariano, all in favor? Yes. First thing on here is 161 Road, Cross Park Recreation Trails. We have representative of the city.
Okay. Let me head over there to.
Could we table this to later in the meeting?
Juliet, it's a little difficult to hear everybody through the recording.
Okay, I'm gonna put the speaker on. Go ahead, say something.
Yes, it sounds like everybody is sort of far away from their microphones. I don't know what the microphone source is.
Anyhow, I asked the question, can we table the Ross Park segment for later in the meeting because there's no city representative here to make the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I want to table Ross Park. Very out on. I motion passes. Next
Next.
SU 45 Industry.
Yes.
We said, has to be recognized.
Okay. So just to bring the commission back up to speed, we did not have quorum. The commission did not have quorum at the last meeting to make a determination on this application. The key things that were brought up at the last meeting that the commission had some concerns with were the location, size, massing, and the internal illumination of the signage. Everybody should be very familiar with the application at this point in time. The staff findings have not changed right from the last meeting as presented. And so now the commission, since there is a quorum for the application, which we do have, yes, we can open it up to discussion. And Mick, who is there, should announce that he is recusing himself if he has not already.
No, at this point, I just
here on the record, we had S.
I mean, I would turn on. We'll have these. I was so for that. Chip up. Exact words for the first time. Yeah, so that's why I think send it to city, but I mean, certain what issues that sign. A lot of stuff. And I think that one, two, that person's so it makes something different and then no, I haven't stopped Sean and Sean says, Don, do you have any wiggle room on this or kind of stuff around?
John, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? It's very difficult to
Is
hear.
there any wiggle room for exceptions on this, or we stop where we're at?
So if the commission wants to move in the affirmative, you'll have to sort of work through why this sign presents different circumstances, and you'll have to clearly define how this presents different circumstances than any of the other signs that you've approved previously with respect to the guidelines.
your guidance. I guess I'm said, I think, they, all we understand we are. I want to say we're from this law, state law.
We can be more restrictive, we can't be less.
Sign and great crossover railroad that is not on the sign.
I guess I would ask, how are you getting electricity to the sign? To the back? Run cables up the side. Yeah. I know at one point there was some concern. There's still some components. So, there's nowhere else they. So we decided to go with one. Also. First, I think still some. I mean,
set. Early.
I think some of
Yeah,
it,
I'm gonna allow. Probably brings much more better scope. I guess I just need to understand a little bit more about the process, because you're talking about process. Right. What this committee sees exactly. So what's if you want to it's the ball. So now, I'm sorry, don't know exactly what you or maybe in the historic district are backward signs. Whether or not signs, that I believe is irrelevant. And I understand this. But I would think that in this particular case, you could argue that we would take each instance individually, and in our case, we could take the argument that you said you love the side.
Catcher at the bottom of it.
Everybody.
Yeah, so I understand. So people that tell me that there's not another bad sign in the story. Because if there is, you're right. I'm not being bad, I'm just trying to. Yeah. I said it. For a reason, I'm thinking, I just want to find, I don't have to do. And I see a lot of the help because. It's great. It's okay. Not saying. It dresses up a little bit, it's not mine. But the whole country of truck stations that had. Repurposed space, you know, we talk about building like this, you have to be made not to a certain. You thought this was, you know.
the other argument I'll give you, what's unique. So, sure. So let me interject real quick here. So I think, this property is on the edge of the historic district, not in the heart of our downtown. I think there's a rationale. Part of the rationale that can be developed is that it is on the edge of the district. And the comments about using other forms of lighting would be actually a detriment to the building. Like using gooseneck lighting would actually be ugly. Maybe there's a rationale we can develop that allows for this back family of a building that's not really something you typically look at. And I'm echoing, so it's really.
So I wanna.
So we, right here, the Preservation Association has goes to a master plan. And it's when you set up a farming foundation, so it's set up with a basic pattern that the foundation or forward.
Okay, so just to make it more clear in regards to precedent, what I believe, I understand the take precedent into consideration of. So, we spoke about the downtown district and the historic district and whether or not they're bad signs. I believe there are. Whether or not you approve that or not, I believe doesn't make a difference. Precedent is set. I have a backward sign, whether approved or not, by this committee. But because if it wasn't, if you wanted to, if it approved it, someone could go and say, take that down. Like that's consistent, nice, racist.
So, we have no authority.
So I guess
There's no,
what I'm saying is, take it from a zoning perspective, right? You have a street that separates two blocks, and on this side, you have precedent, you take commercial residential property, you allow commercial business. Then you want to cross the street, and then this house on the corner comes with an application and says, hey, I want to take this residential commercial. Clearly, that street right there is the boundary where you now are encroaching on your neighborhood, and I believe precedent will take place. But I'm just trying to help you. My argument is precedent. I don't know that it really takes place in particular things like the sides within the district that are back in to this gentleman's point. We are on the edge of the historic district. And I think I've heard everybody say that. I'm sure the argument for our side.
yeah, I think for the basically, we think one factor. And what we need to do, I think, is some sort of we have formalized our- this is otherwise.
Look, we want, whether in this committee or planning department, we want them excited about this as us. We don't want their, we put so much time. It's not like we woke up one day and opened up the catalog and we have artists design done. Random over and over. Back to the bottom. Really show this building also. Rail system. So it's frustrating. No, I get it. So
that, this committee agrees with the backlit sign because of its design specific to the building. Somehow say something that you approve the design of it and it's in good taste with that, so you can look back in the future and just,
We said that a few
yeah.
minutes ago. We're trying to.
They're appropriate, and I've heard that from very, architects.
Mr. Ellsworth, nice of you to
John,
join us.
I just think it's hard to, in the future though, since taste is subjective, it's like we need, I think, harder, like even the gooseneck lighting, like that being a detriment to the building. Like we need in the
Yeah,
future something other than a subjective.
Dan, I agree.
piece.
I don't think precedent is a compelling argument in this. I think you really need to look at the uniqueness of this building. One by one. And what we want to do with this situation in and of itself. And establish the rationale for approving a backlit sign only on this building as it stands right now.
Can I,
Nothing to do with other buildings. We're not looking at other buildings. We're looking at this sign on this building right here. And that's the backlit is the more appropriate design feature for this.
And as Mark said, he reached out to Shippo. Okay, now that was a phone conversation. It wasn't memorialized in an email or anything, but they had, we may be able to go back and ask that for that information. I mean, we purposely made that call to make sure that, you know, we were in compliance with everybody involved here, you know, and if Shippo is saying that, hey, that's a great sign and they like the design, I think that's got to weigh into, you know, to everybody's,
But in an effort to memorialize it, I did request that Sean, if possible, reach out to, the election, I can think of the name.
Mhm.
Email.
Yeah.
Regarding the metal project. I asked him to reach out to her to get her opinion.
Mhm.
She could respond, and his response was like,
Excuse me one second. Ken, I'm acting on your behalf. Would you like to become a commissioner at this time and not? Okay, but I'd like you to be recognized as a commissioner.
Can everyone hear me?
State your name for the record, sir. Yeah, we want to know who you are.
Ellsworth has arrived.
Thank you. We're glad you're here.
While we're doing, I love that sign. It's perfect for the building. I think that we need to find, it's not gonna be a bright sign. We need to find a way to get that backlit somehow as to where it is. I mean, it's on the edge of the district. It's near the stadium, which has a ton of
backlit signs.
backlit signs, but they're not in the district either.
May I suggest this? Do you have counsel? Obviously, who counsels
Juliet,
from
we
a
have
legal perspective
Court
this?
counsel in on session for this? No.
Yeah, but
Um,
if they're trying to find a way to write this up into the record to save themselves from precedent moving forward, so to speak.
We
then-
want the
then
verbiage
The
right.
language,
That's
I'm
what we're-
not smart enough to give you the language, you know, and I'm not saying nobody here is, but I see what the issue is. You want to find a way to approve this particular sign without being, you know, exactly in the future for other signs.
Let me bring Mr. Ellsworth up to snuff real quick. So Ken's
That's what I mean.
unanimously around.
That's what the lawyer would do,
table.
making sure that it's a case by case.
We like the sign. We really like the sign. We like the location. We are trying to find a means of allowing the backlighting for the sign that allows us to move forward as we're in the 21st century, because there'll be other very appropriate signs without cutting our throats to being able to have to say yes to every backlit sign that comes along. This seems to us to be an extraordinarily appropriate sign for a specific location. Now, I wouldn't put it up at Tom and Marty's because they're becoming the station bar and grill. So we're kind of looking for some verbiage, and we're open to any input or other opinion or dissenting opinion.
Can the commission
We
hear me?
take our hat off to you because you're generally the head honcho here.
Hello?
Well, first, excuse me for being late. So when we, just to back up from the last meeting, I think you headed in the direction that we talked about, was trying to find this situation, this project unique to a point where this sign in its location and the applicant's desire to backlight it would be unique and different from any other sign that we had coming in. And again, we're, you know, we're supposed to follow, you know, the guidelines in the city from the study that was done. And I had heard, Mike, I think you were mentioning that maybe they need to be looked at again. If that's the case, that may be something that we want to have done. But we're charged with following that which was adopted by the city council. So we're stuck in those kind of terms. If the board feels eventually that, hey, there's some things in there that we want to update and modernize, then I think that's appropriate, and we could talk to planning about that and go from there. And maybe, I mean, it's been a long time since I've read them all, you know, when they come up in each application, I read them. So if you are coming around to, you know, the sign is nice, it's a nice looking sign. If you've got past the location, because it's that's a unique building, so it really, is it a principal facade, I guess? I don't know. I suppose we get around location. So we have to figure out how to backlight it to some degree. Maybe there's a certain lumen or
Is
something.
there the opportunity of approving the sign as presented? So we're subservient to city council. They set the laws for this, the guidelines?
Yeah, city council adopted the study.
Would they
completed-
have to be approached for approval for us making an exception to their guidelines if we did approve it as presented based on their,
You want to talk about opening a can of worms?
yeah, right?
Having, yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would do
We
that.
should have corp counsel down here.
The applicant can appeal to city council regarding, the applicant can appeal to city council regarding a decision made by this commission. And
So-
it is a local landmark.
Mm.
As well as.
Just so I understand, let me ask, please, and no one should take this the wrong way. If this board decides that the sign is not appropriate and we shouldn't put it up, but we do put it up, you have no,
We don't enforce.
you don't enforce. Is there someone that's gonna, you're telling me maybe city council or someone planning? I mean, has it ever been done in the history of the city? Has anybody ever, have you ever enforced any?
Oh, yeah, we have, the zoning officer will, make the initial determination and regarding compliance. Send violation letters and then it progresses.
It
I think
might
we're on the
result
right
in a
track
fine
here,
or
you know,
something.
from what I'm hearing is, guys want to do this, so let's find a way to do it,
So-
please.
There's a gentleman in the audience that has a question. Are we capable of receiving a question at this time?
Regarding this application,
A little louder if you could, sir. I'm sorry.
hang on.
Yeah.
You probably should come down and be.
State your
on
name.
record. And Mick, yeah, you could come down there and if you truly want to make that, state your name and make your statement.
Hi, Nick Terrell, represent Triad Graphics and Signs. I've been listening to everything and been through Caud quite a few times for same type of issues. I think you, sir, you had it pretty much right where I think that if you put a statement in there that says, if the sign looks great, illuminated, but if you try to do the external with the gooseneck, and it's going to be a detriment, wouldn't that be enough?
Yes.
I mean, because you're kind of going on guidelines,
Mhm.
and trust me, there's been many times where we've had to tell customers that, no, you're in the Caud district, you can't have an illuminated sign.
Mhm.
And I understand, exotic smoke shop, no, we don't want lit up channel letters. But if it's something that, I mean, I haven't seen it, but I mean, based on what you're saying, I think that I think that exceptions can be made. And I think that, yeah, people are gonna come forward and they're gonna say, well, what about that one? And you have the wordage in there to explain why it was approved. Because you're right, having a bunch of gooseneck, I'm not a big fan of gooseneck lighting on signs, but.
In the right place, they're appropriate. This,
I'd like to introduce our new counsel for Station 45.
Just as a, like a bystander and working for a sign company that sometimes runs into this. But-
Appreciate it.
thank you, sir.
Yep.
Very much.
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so just a couple points of clarification. One, I just want to make a note, the commission, any decision that the commission makes can be appealed to city council, and the applicant has the right to request an appeal within 15 days of the commission's determination. And that is a typical process for appealing any decision that the commission makes. The second point I just want to make is there has been some discussion that the commission's been having about this property being somewhat different because it's on the edge of the historic district. Well, that's correct. The property is also a local landmark. So the precedent would be set for all local landmarks. So I want the commission to just be aware of that.
Okay. Thank you. I think that kind of gave me the guidance I was looking for. You understood the appeal thing, city council? I'm gonna walked around the room and asking an opinion on the sign. Because I think our ultimate decision is already there, but we're going to make, with your consent, a proactive statement from the commission in support of the sign that we do not have the authority to allow at this time. That we would be supportive of Mr. Yanati getting a variance with city council. So, ladies first, do you like the sign, young lady?
I like the sign the way it is, and I think it should be put up that way.
Dan?
I like the sign. I just think we have to be careful with keep making an open door for signs in the future. So I'm in support of it, but it needs to be better defined against our kind of what we're running off of right now.
Mike?
I like the sign as proposed. I think we could make rationale for supporting it. And I don't know if the process to have an appeal to city council is the right avenue. Because then we set that precedent up as well. So I think we could make a definitive decision here to support it with many caveats and rationale behind it.
Mr. Ellsworth?
I think
I
the
thank you
sign-
for being late yet today.
Well, yeah, I think we've covered that, haven't we?
I don't know.
We're trying to work it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the sign is an attractive sign. I think it was well designed, and again, my only concern about it is the many people that we've turned away from that internal illumination. And with many people that will show up again in that, and the reason for the internal illumination, if everyone remembers, it just was not an historic feature in the historic district.
Mhm.
And if that wants to be challenged in the future, then we should talk about it and discuss it. But there was some pretty wild, this is not one of those wild applications that we've had. We've had some pretty, really wild signs and flashing and internally lit and frankly things happening with that. So I guess I'm in agreement with the commission as a whole. But I do have some reservations about going forward with that. That's
Mhm.
I was wondering if, and I don't know that much about the signs, I guess, but is there a degree of internal illumination?
Have to ask Sean. I don't have that
I have
background.
no idea. And I know that's another whole avenue we're getting into. So you open that door up and I just don't know how to judge that. Because the sign won't work by being lit externally. I don't think it will show very well. You'd have to have some lighting shining up on it.
Mhm.
in order to make that work.
Yes, sir.
So I think I understand it almost as a whole or as a whole. Not almost, because we have
Yeah, he's
I
a
understand.
mummy today.
Yeah. You want to approve this sign, but you're trying to find the right way to do it. So based on the current laws and so on and so forth, correct? Or it's written, right?
You just hit
So
the nail on the head.
before we do, like my suggestion would be, why don't we, or you, this board, talk to the city's lawyers and explain to you how to pass this particular sign with the right verbiage, so it gives you the out in the future. To be able to consider these on a project by project basis. Because if you're gonna have to turn us down today, so we can go through the appeals process. I'm not sure that's good for us. I don't know, because we're gonna have to go to our lawyer now and say, hey, here's what happened. We got turned down. They want us to go to city council. If city
Well, I
council.
think if we turn down with approval or with the board behind you, we just don't have the ability to approve. But you have pretty much unanimous
I'm
support.
just worried that city council, if we were able to convince them to do this, that they would change the law in order for them to be able to do it, to say that backlit signs are permissible. I would think it's going to be much easier if you, at least to start, to go to your council and say, hey, how do we write this up as an approval? Like table it for today. How do we write this up as approval to give us the coverage we need to allow this sign to be installed and still have, a say in a project by project basis. That's what I'm afraid that if you don't do that, this can open a bigger can of worms. Now, I'm not a lawyer, But I know that if I have to go to city council who are lawmakers, they're only out maybe to change the law. And if I can convince them to do that, you're not gonna have backlit signs running wild all over town. Not, again, I don't know how many backlit sign applicants you get here or how many projects like this are happening. You know,
Few.
but you'd want to cover, you know.
It's amazing how unpleasant a church can be when you say no.
Anyhow,
Okay, thank you, sir. And
Was there any discussion about any other way to light it, like from downlighting?
we
and stuff?
tried,
We went through all that?
yeah, quite a bit, and we really, and with Mike's initiative, as a board, we determined the goosenecks weren't gonna work. They'd be more detrimental to the building. We looked for some other types,
Something that would shine up from the ground up.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
up until snow or something, right?
we've given this a lot of thought and the best way to project is backlit with LED lighting. You know, we don't, that possibility from up above or below, and you just can't get enough. It's like, you know, those Batman signs you'd be putting up, it'd have to be that bright to try and get something to stand out. And, you know,
Okay,
to.
I'm gonna cut you off for a minute. I'm very comfortable with his statement about tabling it and asking city council for some guidance in this to move.
Oh, no,
forward.
not city council, your lawyer, yeah.
Corporation council, I'm sorry. I knew there was a council in there.
One more clarification, because I may have missed it. So is this just a white light, or are the letters illuminated as well? Is this just a background light, or are all the letters illuminated?
Show them the picture, please.
It's,
Just the letters are illuminated.
it's white acrylic. Basically.
We got it.
'Cause we've had signs where the letters weren't illuminated, but the light from behind made the letters illuminate.
Well, that's exactly what's happening.
Okay, so, okay, I see. All right. That's what I'm- And there's no control to change the color or anything like that, right?
No,
It is-
it'll be
it is
just
a-
the, just
it's
the
a
color
white.
white, that's it.
Okay,
No, it's a good question because, you know, we could have had it so it changed colors, but we absolutely are not doing that. It's white, it has one driver in it for the one color, LED lighting, and that's it. And there are no plans and will never be any plans to change the color of it.
Less is more often.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why we didn't even entertain it.
So I'm comfortable to make a motion to table this pending advice from Corporation Council moving forward for our next meeting.
sorry.
I'll go right ahead.
Trying to establish a record. Did I hear you say you talked to Shippo? You had a verbal conversation with Shippo?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if there's any, sometimes they're busier than normal, put it that way. Is there any chance of getting something in writing from them that they've responded to this sign?
I requested Sean to reach out to them after I did.
Okay,
They can probably provide him, but
We will too. We'll reach out again and
Okay.
ask.
because that would help us establish a record that we've gone to that length regarding this.
Just point of the record, wait, can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Just to clarify that point on the record, the applicant asked me to have Shippo weigh in on this case in lieu of the commission's review. I was not asked to reach out to Shippo on the applicant's behalf.
Okay, so I guess, Commissioner, are we asking Sean to reach out to Shippo on our behalf to get their opinion on this sign?
Does that change anything? I mean, if they come back and say it's a great sign, put it up,
It helps us.
okay. But we still have to get, you still need to check with Corporation Council, right, to see if there's appropriate
Right.
language that will
We
cover.
had two objectives. One, Shippo comments, and two, council.
And the commission can request Shippo's input here.
who can request?
The
We-
commission, you can,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so form that in your motion, please.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to table the project of the Lackawanna Railroad Station, Station SQ 45 Lewis Street at this time pending guidance from City of Binghamton's Corporation Council and requesting some feedback from the SHPO office to the board as to how to proceed. Second,
I'll second.
thank you, Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, minusing Mick who's recused. Thank you. Thank you,
you
Mr.
very much
Unani.
for your
Thank you,
time.
sir, very much.
Anthony Capozzi, 17 Alfred Street, Binghamton, 13903.
Thank you. Anthony.
Thank you all.
At this time, I would like to step down as interim chairman of the City of Binghamton's Commission on Architecture and Urban Design and turn it over to the actual chairman unless he's so disposed to sit on the sideline.
No, I'll accept, even though I've been abused this morning.
That hasn't even
Second.
started yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mick, are you off recusal at this point? You're back on, or is there anything else?
I am off for recusal.
Okay, welcome back. We missed you.
All right, big agenda. 122 Washington Street.
Okay, so this is an application for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant is 3i Graphics and Signs. And this is for new signage along the storefront lintel I-beam located at 122 Washington Street. The applicant is hoping to install some gold acrylic lettering for the new business located at that address in that lintel I-beam. And I will go to the signage right here. So here you go. Just so the commission is aware, the painting scheme here is not part of this application. There was a administrative application for painting that's been approved, so you don't need to think about the painting here. What I will say is that the color of the I-beam that the gold acrylic lettering is going to be placed upon will appear similar to this depiction.
Applicant, any,
Nick Terrell, Nick Terrell from 3i Graphics and Signs. Right now we're just, they're gonna be, I believe they're gonna be 1/4 inch thick acrylic gold letters. They'll be painted gold, somehow attached to that I-beam.
Somehow.
Well, to be perfectly honest, that is our challenge right now. What we will likely do is put the letters on some type of a backer panel that will match the color of the I-beam. So the individual letters will be attached to the backer panel, and then we will attach the backer panel to the I-beam mechanically fastened. Because typically with these type of letters, they're like studs on the back of them. We put a pattern up and then we drill holes for the studs to go into. We're not going to do that with this I-beam. So we would probably, again, just the same way, use mechanical fasteners to attach the backer panel to the I-beam.
okay.
So what do we approve? What would we be approving today?
The sign itself, and this new information, which I think is appropriate to put the backer panel on as opposed to multiple, indentations or holes in the beam. So not the color, as Sean said, although I'll have a question about that afterwards, but just the sign.
Would anybody not like it? and make a motion to approve the sign for 3i Graphics as presented, noting that the individual letters will be mounted on a backer panel to be applied to the structural steel I-beam for less invasive and less chance of compromise.
Second.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, Sean, my question is, whenever we look at paintings, we have historic paint colors, and obviously black is probably one of those historic paint colors. But I never saw the situation where we painted all the detail the same color. Now, is that not a requirement in historic guidelines? Because there's so many details on historic buildings that get accentuated from paint. Why is this different?
So I'm just gonna tell you that in this case, that rendering, which is why I told you to sort of ignore it, except for the background color
know,
of the
I
lintel.
couldn't help myself.
Yeah, that's not accurate, right? So the details here, right? We have an existing storefront that's painted white, and then there's the gray in the bulkheads. When the administrative application was reviewed, I reached out and spoke with them about having two different colors, just as is present on the current storefront, right? So leaving the bulkheads, they could, I made it clear that they could leave them unpainted, they could paint them to match the existing color, or if they wanted to change the color, they could include that within the application. And they indicated to me that they were not going to change the color of the bulkhead panels, right? So that gray color was to remain, and then the rest, the areas that are painted white, would be painted if memory is serving me right, it's a dark green. I forget the specific color name. It's a very, very dark green. So there was always going to be a differentiation of color. And at one point they reached back out to me and said, actually, we'd like to paint everything one color. And I told them that was not included within the approval. And if they want to do that, they would have to come before the commission.
Okay, thank you. 42 Riverside Drive. That is so hard when you hear your echo. You want to stop because you think somebody else is talking. But that's how it is.
Okay, so 42 Riverside Drive, again, this is an application for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant here is Josh Harrington of Platinum Roof and Construction. This is a local landmark property, 42 Riverside Drive. It's also located within the Abel Bennett Historic District. And the applicant here is seeking to do work that I'm just going to summarize is generally very consistent with the guidelines. Most of it is repair work. There's only really, it just barely meets the threshold of extending beyond what's considered routine repair and maintenance, simply because there is the changing out of some materials. And in some cases, that changing out of the materials is actually more consistent with the historic property than what is currently there. So the main things are really the repair and rebuilding of the soffits. The applicant intends to basically restore the original wood soffit. They're going to replace the tin Yankee gutters with copper Yankee gutters and downspouts. And then the siding is going to be basically where you can see the deterioration of, particularly at the dormers, sort of at the ridge between the roof and the dormers. Repair the wood shake siding with a new cedar shake siding to match. And then there's damage to the front porch as well. And the applicant is intending to repair all of the water damaged areas and any wood rot and replace in kind with matching wood.
All right, thank you. Applicant, want to add anything?
The railings we'd have to do separately because we don't know yet what original was. Right now, it's mostly about getting the soffits done. The big change is that we're switching from a tin for the Yankee gutters to copper. This thing's not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comments from the board?
My only comment would be if you're going to copper, your fasteners, screws, nails are also going to have to be copper to avoid metal electrolysis going forward. Yeah. The only thing that will not be copper is the way this was designed was with kind of a hanger that came down. So the screws themselves would not be strong enough in copper, so they would be brass. They make copper coated screws because you need to buffer the copper from any other type of metal, or it changes rapidly and not for the better. It'll deteriorate the openings, everything. Just a suggestion. Yeah.
I have one
Anybody
question.
Want to
I
make
have
a
one-
motion? Approve the repairs as,
I will if nobody else has done it.
I have one question
just-
if the
Ken.
board can
you're
hear
just,
me.
the
No,
guy.
no, it's okay. Feeling the authority here.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to approve the project as presented for 42 Riverside Drive for the repair to fascia, the transition from tin Yankee gutters to copper with appropriate fasteners and copper downspouts, and recognizing the other necessary repairs to the building to make it stand and look appropriate going forward.
Second,
I second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Make it pretty.
One quick question for the commission, if you can hear me. Is the applicant still there?
Just walking up the stairs.
One quick question for the commission is, the current gutters and downspouts are painted. Will the copper gutters be painted or will he be leaving them?
And the Elvis has left the building on this one, Chuck.
Okay, well then the determination will stand as if they were just installed, and if he paints them, I'll ask him to notify the commission.
Commission doesn't want them painted.
And I don't think you normally paint copper gutters.
You don't, it's just that the existing gutters and downspouts are painted. That's why I wanted clarification.
But if you're gonna spend the money and install copper gutters today, I don't think that you would spend the money and paint them. I'm just making an assumption.
Why would you put up the copper?
Right. Why would you put up copper and then paint?
So that's kind of added to the motion that the copper gutters remain unpainted.
Okay. I think
second
that's,
that.
I think that's as intended. I think that's the intent. I just was trying to clarify.
Thank you. 66 Exchange Street.
66 Exchange Street. This is again an application for a certificate of appropriateness. The applicant in this case is Stephanie Brewer with the Broome County Planning Department. This is sort of a revision in some ways to an application that was presented about I guess a year and a few months ago at this point. The commission will likely recall the series of murals that were part of the or funded by the iDistrict program that came before the commission again a year and a few months ago. And so this is a sort of a replacement mural that's proposed to be about 16 by 20 feet in size, and it's going to be located on the south facing facade of 66 Exchange Street. And so this is just the new design. The previous design was again sort of like a floral pattern. But I believe, and Stephanie can correct me if I'm wrong here, that the muralist had to drop out. And so this is a substitute artist.
Okay. Stephanie, anything to add?
Sure. Hello. Okay. Thank you, Sean. Yep. So the previous artist, Scott Yurko, he had to drop out for some personal reasons. So we were able to pair M&T with Carlos Culbertson, aka Zulu Painter. He's an artist from Miami. He's painted dozens of murals across the nation and internationally. So pretty lucky to have such a great artist want to come and paint here. We would be looking at a 2023 installation, probably late spring, early summer, depending on Carlos's schedule. And then kind of just so echoing what Sean said, this I think would be the 5th mural approved by Caud for the city and about like the 10th in our program in all 3 downtown areas. And then I guess I'll just speak a little bit to the design. The artist spoke with M&T and they really wanted to show themes of community. So as you see, it's a young girl watering a rose plant, and the rose, as you know, is the New York State flower. So there's a nod to our local representation, I guess. And then I guess they're just symbolism of community growth and new beginnings in the mural. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Comments at all? Would someone other than John like to make a motion? I think he's getting tired.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the mural as presented, because nobody else steps up to the plate.
Second, please.
Thank
All in favor?
Aye. Like Dan, I'm saving myself for all these demolitions. We got that
Oh,
reading to
okay,
do,
all
you
right.
know.
I just didn't want to wear you out.
Thank you, Caud.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay, on with the demolitions, I guess.
Ken, can you help me out?
Potential
Who was
demolitions.
who was the second on that last motion?
Mary Ellen,
Thank you.
8 Franklin Street.
Okay, so we've moved on to the determinations of significance for demolition. And I'll try to keep these brief. This is a building, former residential building in the city's First Ward neighborhood. Designed, it's a craftsman style house. You can just barely make out the stone piers for the porch in the photos that were provided. Beyond that, the building did not appear to possess any of the criteria for a positive determination of historical significance.
Okay, thank you. Comments from the board? Okay, make a motion to declare Caud as lead agency. Second by John, all in favor? Make a motion to declare this as an unlisted action. Seconded by John, all in favor? All right, are we gonna pick on you all day or? Okay, perfect. You guys worked it out. All right, hit it. Yeah.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supply, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential resources of human health? No. I'd like.
Yeah, you can make a motion to declare a negative declaration.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to declare a negative declaration.
And so we have a roll call. Dan?
Aye.
John? Mick?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Ken, aye. John?
I'm looking for it. Okay.
Criteria for determination of historical significance for demolition. The commission's determination of historic significance shall be based on the following considerations, which are based on the United States Secretary of the Interior's standards for historic preservation. If the structure is an outstanding example of a structure or memorial representative of its era, either past or present, or if the structure is one of the few remaining examples of a past architectural style or combinations of styles, or if the structure is associated with a historical person or event of significance to the city, region, state, or nation. Finding none, I make a motion of no historical significance, knock it down.
Okay, thank you. Do we need a vote on that? Yeah, all in favor? Second? Oh, Dan seconded.
Yeah, I'll
We're
second.
all in favor.
Right.
Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. 18 Rutherford Street.
Okay, 18 Rutherford, again, determination of historical significance for demolition. This is a property located in the Center City neighborhood, just east of Binghamton's downtown. While the structure didn't seem to be in possession of either the first two criteria of significance, there were some figures who were at least more notable in Binghamton's community and more active in the community, and I've sort of listed them out for the commission's consideration. There were a few businesses that were run from this property, so it seems like it was pretty active, and that was included in the staff report. So if the commission's considering any of the criteria in this case, probably would need to spend the most time on criterion 3, excuse me.
Okay, thank you. So the photographs, no interior photographs, the building itself doesn't look too bad from the photographs, so but must be there's something that the city doesn't like about it.
We asked them.
I mean, it's hard to see from that one photograph what the problems are with it.
Can you bring back the photograph?
Sorry, misspoke. There's multiple photographs, no interiors, all exterior, right?
Correct.
I mean, the building looks like it's in, I mean, from the exterior, it looks like it's in good shape. And we've
Well,
seen-
that's what my controversy was with this one. I'm not sure if there's something else that's happening inside that we don't know about, or, it had who knows, water flooding or something. I don't know. Just
Can't
trying
make
to
a
be,
determination if that's not the information that's provided, so. I mean, like Mike had mentioned, we've seen a lot worse, with buildings.
Sean, anything further that's not in the report?
I do not have any additional information for this property, but I will say that the commission's task with regard to determinations of historical significance is just to determine if the property has historical significance.
Oh. True.
Sean, can you pull up that list again? The
Yes.
3 criteria.
So typically in the past, if we find one of these criteria uh, significant or warrant a discussion, you end up moving forward with some type of historic significance, historic uh, SHPO situation or a plaque or something that identifies what we found as significant, just to keep that in mind. So that's another option that we've done plaques before, right, John? I'm sorry.
Ken?
If we found that number 3 and the businesses that were run out of that facility or residents were noteworthy, we've asked for a plaque or something to identify those if we think they're that significant,
The
right?
only thing I find that really piques my interest is the White Diamonds, the bus line, the touring limousines here. And from what I could tell from the Sanborn map, they were operated out of the extensive garage behind the main house. That's probably the earliest rendition of touring buses in the city that I've been aware of. Still like to see some interior pictures. I on and for the record, I don't think it's right to be knocking structures down with no exterior visible signs of deterioration unless there's some outstanding consequences inside to.
Yeah, like Sean had mentioned, though, our purview is historical significance, not the condition of the building, although that always gives us a little pause.
How many other companies do we have operating in the city at this time? We don't have sufficient information. It potentially could be a unique property, but if we had 20 other businesses operating the same fashion, then it becomes commonplace.
Well, and also too, I mean, as you mentioned, if it was run out of the garage in the back, that's actually the historic portion of it, not the house. And then would you save the house to commemorate? What would you do with the business? And in the past, we've identified it and put up some type of historical monument plaque or something if we feel that that is a historical event or business that was there, which could be, as you indicated. So if you, regardless of the future information, if that's where the board is heading, we can have that kind of discussion about some type of plaque or something. I think the city said they would, they don't have no additional uses, a side yard program that they're contemplating for this.
Sean, are the garages even standing? We can't seem to find any picture of them. The only thing
No,
I see
so
is on the Sanborn map. where
no,
it
no.
outlines
So
it
I
as
was,
the automotive.
yeah, I was trying to highlight that, John, here, right? The garage in the rear of the property was demolished, likely as a result of the creation of Route 363 or North Shore Drive.
I missed that.
So if the commission, if you're feeling, which I would agree as staff, right, that likely the most significant association that this property has is related to the transportation industry in the early 20th century. You'd have to probably consider that the trucking garage that was utilized for that business is no longer extant, and what impact does that have upon the historic integrity?
John, you can hear us, right?
Yes.
So if the piece that's the most historic significance is torn down, then what's the significance of the property or the house itself? Like, is there other information that you could share us, whether it's a kind of a bed and breakfast or what are the other terms back in the turn of the century that they had for lodging?
Boarding house,
Yeah, boarding
Yeah,
house, stuff
boarding
like
house
that.
or lodging. Yeah, either's fine.
business offices. I need a minute.
Did Sean say that?
Could you hear me?
No.
Okay, so that's the question really that's before the commission is, right, what level of integrity does this property possess if the primary association with the transportation industry in the early 20th century is no longer extant, right? And I didn't find, while it's likely that the house was utilized in some capacity, whether it be as an office, whether or not people may have stayed there or not, it's not initially clear from the record. I could always go back and try to uncover more. I think the thing that probably gave this property more significance which is the garage is no longer present.
Correct.
And would someone understand the significance of the property without the garage being extant?
Probably not. So without the garage being there, I don't know what significance the house has.
I don't think it does at this point.
I don't think it does
No.
either.
And again, as we're pausing about the condition of the house, that's not our purview here.
Correct.
So I guess we'll proceed, unless anybody has any
No,
other objections.
I don't have
So,
any objections.
Okay. Make a motion to declare Caud as lead agency on this application, seconded by Mike, all in favor.
Aye.
Make a motion to declare this as an unlisted action. Seconded by John, all in favor.
Aye.
Dan?
So will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private treatment utilities, wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. Therefore, I declare a negative declaration.
Okay, roll call, Mary Ellen. John,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Mike, Ken, yes. Okay, motion passed, John.
Criteria I should have this memorized. Criteria for determination of historical significance for demolition. The commission's determination of historic significance shall be based on the following considerations, which are based on the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation. If the structure is an outstanding example of a structure or memorial representative of its era, either past or present, or if the structure is one of the few remaining examples of a past architectural style or combination of styles, or if the structure is associated with a historical person or event of significance to the city, region, state, or nation. Finding none, I make a motion for no historical significance. Tear it down.
Second, please.
I second.
Okay, Nick, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 21 Pearl Street.
Okay, so for the 21 Pern Street, again, the applicant is the city of Binghamton. This going right into the description of the criteria of significance. Staff didn't find that it met any of the criteria. Again, this is on the north side of Binghamton. It's a Queen Anne style building with some colonial revival elements. Beyond that, didn't appear to meet any of the criteria.
Any comments from the boards? Besides me mispronouncing it Pearl Street. Okay, make a motion to declare Caud as lead agency on this application.
Thanks.
Second by John or Mary Ellen, because he's getting a little tired. All in favor?
Aye.
Make motion to declare this as unlisted action. Seconded
Second.
by John. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Your turn, Mary Ellen.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure or for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment facilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. Therefore, I make a motion to declare a negative declaration.
Okay, thank you. Roll call. Dan? John?
Aye.
Mick?
Aye.
Mike? Ken, yes. John?
Criteria for determination of historical significance for demolition. The commissioner's determination of historic significance shall be based on the following considerations, which are based on the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation. If the structure is an outstanding example of a structure or memorial representative of its era, either past or present, or if the structure is one of the few remaining examples of a past architectural style or combinations of styles, or if the structure is associated with a historical person or event of significance to the city, region, state, or nation. Finding none, I make a motion of no historical significance. Knock it down.
Okay, second, please.
I second.
Nick? All in favor?
Aye.
Fine, thank you. '63 Walnut.
Okay. So again, applicant is city of Binghamton for a determination of historical significance for the property located at 63 Walnut Street. going through this, I'll keep it brief. Again, going through the criteria for a positive statement of significance, the building did not appear to be in possession of any of the three. This is on the city's west side.
Okay. Comments from the board?
This one's a little closer to home, and I know that we've been having trouble with squatters in here, and I think some drug addicts living in the building. I think it'd be appropriate to eradicate it.
Make a motion to declare Caud as lead agency in this application. Seconded by John, all in favor.
Aye.
Making a motion to declare the action as unlisted. Second by Mary Ellen. All in favor?
Yeah,
Aye.
faster,
Aye.
my guy.
All right.
Dan's turn.
Yep. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use of, or intensity of use of the land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. The proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. The proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. Therefore, I declare negative declaration.
Okay, roll call, Mary Ellen. John,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ken, yes. Motion passed. John?
Criteria for the determination of historical significance for demolition. The commission's determination of historic significance should be based on the following considerations, which are based on the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation. If the structure is an outstanding example of a structure or memorial representative of its era, either past or present, or if the structure is one of the few remaining examples of a past architectural style or combinations of styles, or if the structure is associated with a historical person or event of significance to the city, region, or state or nation. Finding none, I find no historical significance and mark that it should be torn down.
Second, please. Mike? All in favor?
Aye.
What did we think of John's last rendition of that?
Loved it.
Loved it?
Loved
Okay,
it.
I just want to
Thanking
get
you,
that
I
on,
do.
I want to get it on the record.
I want more of it.
214 Conklin Ave.
Okay, again, applicant is City of Binghamton for a determination of historical significance for demolition of the property located at 214 Conklin Avenue. So in this case, very simple, probably on the older side of the buildings that were being reviewed today. Likely, it was probably a small little like Greek revival farmhouse. Did find reference to it being a farm multiple times in newspaper records and such. But beyond that, didn't find that it met any of the criteria.
Comments from the board? Okay. Make a motion to declare Caud as lead agency on this application. Second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to declare the application as unlisted. Second by Dan.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dan.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary Ellen.
Is Mary Ellen speaking?
Will the proposed action, where was I?
Start over.
Oh, yeah, you have to start over now. You messed up.
Will the proposed action result in the adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. Therefore, I make a motion to declare a negative declaration.
Roll call, Dan? John?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Ken? Aye. Motion passed. John?
For the sake of the record, those were all
Yes, we're doing
no
Italian
or
accent.
small
I'm
impact.
not sure I can, but I'll give it a try. I married an Italian girl. I ought to be able to. Criteria. Nah. Okay.
No.
We've got Irish in there, you know. We turn up everywhere. Nah, I can't do it. Not yet. I got to practice on it. Yeah, I get you, Chairman. Yeah, I'm just going to read it. Criteria for determination of historical significance for demolition. The commission's determination of historic significance shall be based on the following considerations, which are based on the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for Historic Preservation. If the structure is an outstanding example of a structure or memorial representative of its era, either past or present, or if the structure is one of the few remaining examples of a past architectural style or combination of styles, or if the structure is associated with a historical person or event of significance to the city, region, state, or nation. Having found none, I make a motion of no historical significance. Tear it down.
Second, please. Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
537 State Street.
Okay, just for the sake of the record on that last one, was it no or small impact on the seeker criteria for each of them?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, thank you. 537 State Street, again, moving right into the criteria of significance for this determination of historical significance for demolition review. The applicant's the city of Binghamton, and I did not find that this met any of the criteria for a positive determination of historical significance. It's on the city's north side.
Comments from the board? None. Okay, make a motion to declare Caud lead agency for this application.
I second.
Nick, thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Make a motion to declare this application as unlisted under seeker.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Will the proposed action create a material conflict in adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. Therefore, I make a motion to declare a negative declaration.
Okay, roll call, Mary Ellen. John,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Mike. Ken, yes. Motion passed. John,
You can't hear the comments from the peanut gallery over there, can you? Criteria for determination of historical significance for demolition. The commission's determination of historic significance shall be based on the following considerations, which are based on the United States Secretary of the Interior standards for historic preservation. If the structure is an outstanding example of a structure or memorial representative of its era, either past or present, or if the structure is one of the few remaining examples of a past architectural style or combination of styles, or if the structure is associated with a historical person or event of significance to the city, region, or state or nation, having find none, I make a determination of no historical significance to knock it down. And for the record, I wouldn't sit anywhere else.
second, please.
I second both of those comments.
All in favor
Aye.
Aye,
for both comments.
both comments.
Motion passed. Sean, any other business?
Sean,
Yes.
we tabled Ross Park because nobody was here. What are we supposed to do with this? Anything?
Oh, so the applicant in this case is the city, right? This is a city sponsored application.
Yeah.
So there is somebody here, right? It's staff. And so in this case, this is just the beginning of the environmental review process for this application. And really the only expectation of the commission today is to basically determine lead agency, which in this case, this staff is requesting that it be the Commission on Architecture and Urban Design, and that you determine that the action is unlisted. We didn't find that it met the threshold for type 1, and it didn't meet the type 2 criteria either. So this would be reviewed in full at the December meeting, and I'd ask the commission also set a public hearing date for the December meeting for this.
Did you
Thank-
say unlisted, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion to declare Caud as lead agency with the application for Ross Park recreational trails. Seconded by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to declare the action as unlisted. Seconded by
I
Mary
second.
Ellen. All in favor?
Aye.
And make a motion to have our regularly scheduled December meeting be a public hearing for this application.
So
December
6th.
second.
Yeah, I believe
Sixth.
it's the
December
6th.
sixth as the public hearing for this application. Seconded by John, all in favor.
Aye.
Sean, was that your list?
Yes, it was. Thank you. That works. And one other point of clarification, just because it was a little challenging to hear at the beginning. Who made the motion on the October minutes and who was the second?
I made the initial motion. John.
Mary Ellen.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Comments from the board?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.